The Pentium 3 CPU lineup, released in 1999, was Intel's flagship until the release of the Intel Pentium 4 a year and a half later. But can it stand up to today's standards? Let's find out. This is my grandpa's old laptop. It's a Compaq Armada E500 with an Intel Pentium 3 CPU clocked at 500 MHz, 386 MB of RAM, and a 10 GB hard drive. That might not sound like a lot, but it was actually pretty good back when the laptop was new. According to my research, this laptop cost $3,000 back in 1999. Now obviously we didn't get it new, we actually got it used from a company. It has Windows XP installed on it, but we're going to try Linux because the Windows XP installation was heavily modded by me a few years ago. The first distribution I tried was damn small Linux. It booted up fairly quickly from the CD I burned, and all of the included applications seemed to work pretty nicely. However, I couldn't figure out how to connect it to the internet. The Wi-Fi card that I have in the laptop wasn't getting recognized. USB tethering through my phone didn't work either. And this laptop doesn't have an internet port. Then I tried Papa Linux, a newer distribution, also targeted at older PCs. I couldn't even get the desktop to show up there though. The last distribution I tried was Ubuntu 12.04, the same distribution I used for the server in my previous video. That one actually booted up without any issues. It was unusable from the live CD though. It took 5 minutes to boot up, and even after that, it took me about a minute just to do a simple Google search. So I decided to stick with the Windows XP installation that was there. I disabled all of the utilities that were being run at startup, and it actually wasn't slow at all. So the first practical use test I tried was creating a text document in Word 2003. Now obviously that worked pretty well because that was what the machine was made for. It took about 7 seconds to start the application, with the splash screen being shown for less than a second, and I could use it just fine. But you know, that's just like running Word 2016 on a 3 years old i7. Moving on to some modern stuff. I tried internet browsing with this version of Google Chrome that was there. It actually wasn't a real bad experience either. As you can see, for example, this local news site didn't have any problems loading at all. I also tried doing an internet speed test. The speedtest.net beta didn't work at all because of the version of Google Chrome I had there. And the Flash version just wasn't made for the CPU. So I used a local speedtest website. I ended up with about 6 megabits for download and 6 megabits for upload. It probably could be even faster if I had a better Wi-Fi card. I also tried sending an email through the Gmail website. The HTML5 version of the website refused to load because of the version of Google Chrome I had. So I used the classic one. That one actually worked pretty well. It didn't feel any different than it would, for example, on my current i5 laptop. I was able to send an email just fine. The last thing I wanted to try was YouTube. Google Chrome allowed me to play the video in 360p or 720p only because of dash playback not being supported yet. 360p was very laggy though, so I didn't even bother to try 720p. I also tried downloading the video, but there wasn't a media player that could play it. But you might want to compare this PC to some other one, so I decided to do some synthetic benchmarks as well. I first wanted to try 3D Mark 2001 and Passmark Performance Test 8, but neither of these worked properly. 3D Mark complained about the lack of VRAM, even when I lowered the settings to the minimum, and while Passmark finished most of the benchmarks, there was one that couldn't run, so I couldn't get a CPU score. Of course, I didn't even try the GPU benchmarks because the GPU doesn't support DirectX 9 obviously. So I ended up using 3D Mark 2000 and PC Mark 2002. The pre-mark result was 531. For comparison, my current i5 laptop got 4300, and it could probably get an even higher score, because it looks like the benchmarks were run on the integrated graphics, not on the dedicated one. And the PC Mark score for the laptop was 1200 for the CPU, 1100 for the RAM, and 200 for the hard drive. So, as you can see, this Pentium 3 laptop can still be used for some very light modern usage, even though I wouldn't recommend it. If you have this and can get something else, then I would recommend you to get something else. But if you have no other choice, it just works. Alright, so this is the end, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, press the like button. If you didn't, press the dislike button and tell me why. And goodbye everybody!